Wayyiqra Chapter 8. And Yahuah spoke to Moses, Take Aaron and his sons and the garments and the anointing oil and the bull of the sin offering and the 2 rams and the basket of unleavened bread, and assemble all the congregation at the door of the tent of meeting. And Moses did as Yahuah commanded him, and the congregation was assembled at the door of the tent of meeting. And Moses said to the congregation, This is the word Yahuah commanded to be done. So Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water, and put the long shirt on him, and girded him with the girdle, and dressed him in the robe, and put the shoulder garment on him, and girded him with the embroidered band of the shoulder garment, and with it tied the shoulder garment on him, and put the breastplate on him, and put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastplate, and put the turban on his head. And on the turban, on its front, he put the golden plate, the set-apart sign of dedication, as Yahuah had commanded Moses. And Moses took the anointing oil, and anointed the dwelling place, and all that was in it, and set them apart. And he sprinkled some of it on the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar, and all its utensils, and the basin and its base, to set them apart. And he poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head, and anointed him, to set him apart. And Moses brought the sons of Aaron, and put long shirts on them, and girded them with girdles, and put turbans on them, as Yahuah had commanded Moses. And he brought the bull for the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the bull for the sin offering, and it was slaughtered. And Moses took the blood, and put some on the horns of the altar all around with his finger, and cleansed the altar. And he poured the blood at the base of the altar, and set it apart, to make atonement for it. And he took all the fat that was on the entrails, and the appendage on the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and Moses burned them on the altar. And the bull and its skin and its flesh and its dung, he burned with fire outside the camp, as Yahuah had commanded Moses. And he brought the ram of the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and it was slaughtered. And Moses sprinkled the blood on the altar all around, and he cut the ram into pieces. And Moses burned the head and the pieces and the fat, and he washed the entrails and the legs in water. And Moses burned the entire ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a sweet fragrance, and an offering made by fire to Yahuah, as Yahuah had commanded Moses. And he brought the 2nd ram, the ram of ordination, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and it was slaughtered. And Moses took some of its blood, and put it on the tip of Aaron's right ear, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And he brought near the sons of Aaron, and Moses put some of the blood on the tips of their right ears, and on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. And Moses sprinkled the blood on the altar all around, and took the fat and the fat tail, and all the fat that was on the entrails, and the appendage on the liver, and the 2 kidneys and their fat, and the right thigh. And from the basket of unleavened bread that was before Yahuah, he took 1 unleavened cake, and a cake of bread anointed with oil, and 1 thin cake, and put them on the fat and on the right thigh, and placed all these in the hands of Aaron, and in the hands of his sons, and waved them as a wave offering before Yahuah. Moses then took them from their hands, and burned them on the altar, on the burnt offering. They were ordinations for a sweet fragrance. It was an offering by fire to Yahuah. And Moses took the breast and waved it, a wave offering before Yahuah. It was Moshe's portion of the ram of ordination, as Yahuah had commanded Moses. And Moses took some of the anointing oil and some of the blood which was on the altar, and sprinkled it on Aaron, on his garments and on his sons, and on the garments of his sons with him. And he set apart Aaron, his garments and his sons, and the garments of his sons with him. And Moses said to Aaron and his sons, Cook the flesh at the door of the tent of meeting, and eat it there with the bread that is in the basket of the ordinations, as I have commanded, saying, Aaron and his sons are to eat it. Then burn the rest of the flesh and the bread with fire. And do not go outside the door of the tent of meeting for 7 days, until the days of your ordination are completed, for he fills your hands for 7 days. Yahuah has commanded to do, as he has done this day, to make atonement for you. And stay at the door of the tent of meeting day and night for 7 days. And you shall guard the duty of Yahuah and not die, for so I have been commanded. And Aaron and his sons did all the words that Yahuah had commanded by the hand of Moses.